Hello everyone, this is Major Green, also known as Nitpicking Nerd, and in this video I'll be talking about all the clues about Captain Lorca in Star Trek Discovery, and if you don't know the twist about him, then please don't watch the video because I'm going to spoil it. So right from the start we could see that Captain Lorca is kind of shady, he's kind of evil almost, very unlike Starfleet, and that was actually one of the complaints about the show with many people, that it doesn't feel like Star Trek, it feels like something else. I never had a problem with that if it was just one character. I had a problem with all of Starfleet being more warlike and all that stuff. More like a dystopian future rather than an utopia. And we saw that in the second episode when Michael was under trial. She couldn't even see her judges, they were in the shade, so that felt like some kind of totalitarian society, so it was more like Cardassians than Starfleet. But Captain Lorca individually being shady, I never had a problem with that. I loved his character right from the start, and I presume, like many other people, that it will turn out to be that he is actually a member of Section 31, maybe, or something like that, which would explain it. That he's kind of doing a necessary evil to win a war at all cost. So I actually love that idea, and I thought maybe he will turn into a villain later, and maybe he will stay as a recurring villain in the series. So that's actually something very interesting, but what they did instead is to reveal that he is actually from the Mirror Universe from the very start of the show. So the Lorca we saw was always the one from the Mirror Universe, which explains why he's so evil, I guess, why he's so shady, because he's not actually from Starfleet, he's just pretending to. So I gathered all the clues from the beginning. So we first see him in episode 3, and he says himself that he has an eye problem, that he's sensitive to light. There was no way for us to know yet that that's actually a clue of him being in the Mirror Universe, because in all the previous shows it was never mentioned that the people in that universe have a different eyesight. So that's a clue that we could not possibly have guessed.
Ah! Turn down!
Admiral. Why don't you get your damn eyes fixed?
Oh, you know, Katrina, I don't trust doctors.
This clip was from episode 5, and now we know the reason that he didn't want to go to a doctor, because a doctor would probably determine that his condition is not because of an injury, but is natural, and also because he was planning to get back to his universe, so he didn't want to fix his eyes because he had to go back. Another clue about this whole eye issue was in episode 11. After they arrived in the Mirror Universe, Michael said that the light itself seems different in this universe.
Even the light is different.
Now, if you watch the first time Michael meets Captain Lorca, you also can notice a few clues. Let me show you the clip.
When I saw your name on the shuttle manifest, I reread your file.
He says that he reread her file, meaning he knew about her before and he read about her again. So that's because he knew her in the Mirror Universe, but he had to know what she's up to in this one.
I know who you are, Michael Burnham. I know exactly who you are. I know you love being right.
Also, now we know why he wanted her on his ship. When I first watched this episode, I thought that it's because he's so shady, because he's probably doing illegal stuff on his ship. So maybe he thought that because she's a convict, because she committed mutiny and was willing to do like shady stuff, that's why he took her. Because he thought she would be willing to participate in the illegal stuff that he's planning to do. But now we know that it's because he knew her in the other universe, so that's the reason.
I did choose you, but not for the reasons you think. I will use you or anything else I can to achieve my mission.
And what mission is that?
Send everyone home, safe and happy.
And he says that his mission is to send everyone home. So we know that he was planning all along to get back to his universe, and that's the real reason he was developing the spore drive, simply to get himself back. The more jumps they did, the more information he gathered from those jumps to enable him to get back to his universe.
You've been accumulating this data from my jumps the whole time? They could indicate alternative parallel universes connected to the mycelial network.
And you and Stamets believed the spore drive could jump between them.
Well, it was a theory I was working on. Apparently the 133 jumps we made filled in the gaps.
Extraordinarily fortunate coincidence.
And there were some more clues and foreshadowing in this episode. It's episode 3. Michael took out a book from her bag, and it was Alice in Wonderland, which of course had the story of Alice going through a mirror. Also in this episode, Tilly says that she's planning to be captain one day, and we know that in the Mirror Universe she is a captain.
I'm gonna be a captain someday.
And there was another clue to that in episode 8 when Stamets accidentally called Tilly captain.
What are you doing down here, Captain?
Did you just call me captain?
And at this point in time, the other Stamens in the other universe was already stuck in the Spore network, so once Stamens hooked up to the Spore network, he started to connect with him, I guess, and that's why he started having these strange visions, like in episode 5 when he saw a reflection of himself which kind of stayed behind for a while, so that was kind of a creepy, strange scene. But now we know the reason. It's because of the other Stamens who was stuck in the Spore network and somehow interacted with him, and he called Tilly Captain, so that's because of the other Stamens. Another clue was in episode 5 when Lorca revealed that he abandoned his ship and destroyed it himself, which is something I think no Starfleet captain would ever do, but it's definitely something that they do all the time in the mirror universe, so that's again a clue.
The tragic tale of the USS Buran. Only one crewman managed to escape. Gabriel Lorca.
The real reason he probably destroyed his ship was because he didn't want anyone to know that he's not the real Lorca, and probably his shipmates suspected something about him, so maybe he killed them all simply to protect his secret, so it's now obvious that this was another clue.
I don't think you've been the same since the Buran.
And the biggest clues were in episode 6 when Lorca met with that Admiral and obviously didn't remember anything about their past. Let me show you the clip.
I still think about the bottle we killed that night. You don't remember?
No, it's just...
And now I love that scene because it's so obvious that he's just pretending that he knows what she's talking about. Also, she said that she feels like he's not the same Lorca ever since he lost his ship, which is exactly the moment he was replaced with the other Lorca. And then we have the scene in which, first of all, she sees some scars on his back, and those are not scars that he got from the Klingons, and she seems surprised by them. So obviously it's the scars that he has from a lifetime of violence in the mirror universe. And then notice that one of the scars is shaped like a triangle. In the original Mirror Universe episode, we saw Mirror Spock using an agonizer on a crew member to discipline him, and the agonizer was shaped roughly like a triangle.
No, Mr. Spock!
Your agonizer, please.
No, Mr. Spock!
So probably someone used an agonizer like that on Lorca and maybe held it on for too long, which caused the scar. And when she touches him, he immediately jumps up with a phaser and almost kills her. And this now makes perfect sense because in the mirror universe they all always assassinate each other, so obviously he has to sleep with a phaser in his bed all the time.
You sleep with a phaser in your bed and you say nothing's wrong. All these months, I have ignored the signs. The truth is, you are not the man I used to know.
And she basically threatens to take away his ship, which is his way home, and so that's the reason that later in the episode he's willing to sacrifice her life simply to keep his ship.
Don't take my ship away from me. She's all I got. Please, I'm begging you.
I hate that I can't tell if this is really you.
And the final scene of that episode, episode 6, was him looking out the window, and we see his reflection on the window, which is an obvious clue to the mirror universe, so this is a very nice touch. Another clue was in episode 7 when Lorca didn't know the protocol about protecting the endangered space creatures.
Captain, the Gormagander is on the endangered species list. Protocol requires us to transfer it to a xenologic facility.
And so this was yet another clue because he didn't even know about this protocol. Another clue is in episode 9 when Michael wants to go on a mission to the Klingon ship. And Lorca doesn't want to let her because we now know that he needed her to get to the Emperor's ship in the mirror universe. And so he didn't want to risk losing her.
You're not going.
Sir, you offered me a place on this ship.
And now I'm ordering you to stay.
And in episode 9 we see that Lorca is the only one who knows about the possibility of traveling to another universe using the spores. And he also reveals that doing all the jumps is what gives him enough information to be able to go to the other universe. And it's funny how the moment in which he decided to do it was right after the Admiral was freed from the Klingons, and that was the moment that he finally chose to do this final jump back to his universe. And that's because, as I said earlier, she threatened to basically take away his command, and that was the reason why he didn't want to rescue her. And after she was rescued, that's when he decided to finally come back, also because he had enough information now. But this was the last moment he could do it before the Admiral takes away the Discovery from him.
I am told she should make a total recovery.
It's excellent news. Be sure to send her my best.
And I was killed. The Emperor laid waste to your ship in retaliation. It's believed you escaped.
Well,
There's me hoping I'd find a better version of myself over here. Different universe, somehow the same people had a way to find each other.
The strongest argument I've ever seen for the existence of destiny.
You were destined for something more.
And this is the scene in which he talks about destiny, which later the Emperor says that Lorca always believed in destiny, that destiny brought them together, and that's when Michael started to piece together all those clues.
He chose you.
I did choose you, but not for the reasons you think.
You're sensitive to light.
Singular biological difference between our two races.
My so-called captain's not from my universe.
So that's it. I think those were all the clues that I noticed. Maybe we'll see some more stuff in future episodes. I hope we will see the other Lorca one day, the good Lorca. Maybe he stayed in the mirror universe and got back later using the Discovery, the other Discovery. It was said that in the other universe his body was never found, so I suspect that maybe he will be back next season. And I hope he will, because he was the most interesting character by far and the best actor, so it will be a huge loss for this series if he's not back. So that's all. I do think that this twist did make this season more interesting. Now it's much more fun to notice all these little clues. It makes all those scenes much more interesting, much better. Especially that scene with the Admiral, it now makes perfect sense. So overall I like this twist, so I give a point to Discovery for doing this, even though it's not really as interesting as what I presumed from the beginning, that he will be simply a shady character simply because that's the way he is. We know that many Starfleet captains and admirals were kind of shady or evil, and we had Captain Jellicoe, who was kind of an asshole in TNG, and many other examples. So why can't we have someone like that from the normal universe? Why did he have to be from the mirror universe? And he wasn't even really that evil yet, so we didn't really see him do anything like extremely evil. He was just a little bit shady, so he would have been perfect as a member of Section 31 or something like that. And that would have been so much better in my opinion, and maybe he would have evolved into a villain later, maybe even turned into someone like Garth of Iser. That was my theory when the show started. So I am kind of disappointed that that's not the case. It's still a fun twist, so I still give the show points for at least doing something clever, but I also think it's a missed opportunity. It could have been so much more interesting, and also the fact that they killed him off is a huge waste in my opinion. He should have remained as a recurring villain, you know, like Gold Dukat in Deep Space Nine. That would have been so much more interesting, so much more fun. So it will be a huge shame if he's not back somehow. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.